Excellent.
And I found more doors I know are sitting in the shop and ready to be installed, no matter.
I didn't see him in here this morning.
You see, recycling the problems with that door again.
Do what?
In the wind.
Recycling the problems with that door. That something let loose and came down and kind of buckled the bottom.
Again? That company we had put those in, seems like it's nothing but
So
problems.
he called, they were going, somebody was gonna come down that late one in the afternoon on Friday.
The same guy coming there.
It's a different
Okay,
company.
then it's probably Joe with the core door, who's,
Some guy, no, it's, he's used before, anyways, anyway. Hopefully they got it open because.
well, those doors laid up.
I'm sitting in the Mayo Clinic waiting room. Can you guys hear me?
$100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Ben.
Hi.
Thought I heard your voice.
Yep, I'm sitting in the waiting room at Mayo Clinic, so
Oh, thank
I'll
you.
be listening online.
You guys just were misplaced this morning.
Well, thank you, sir.
That would be mine.
Jeez. It's crazy out there. We swept. Friday. Yes, sure.
Can you hear us okay, Ben?
Can you hear me?
You're a little bit soft, but can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
That's
This
better.
It's better?
Yeah.
Okay, hold my microphone close.
Yes, you know.
Even clear target.
You gonna go try a new chair, go to your house.
Just right.
This one's just right.
They are.
You could, yeah. I love it. No, no.
No, back.
Right behind that.
See, when I leave here at 10:30, I won't interrupt anybody.
So.
I have to be on the road, so.
Hey, Mark, did you look on the payables to see the difference in the electric bill for
No.
land for recycling?
About half
Oh, it's $62 this month.
from 1,700 before.
Solar's awesome.
Solar's on it
I'm
now.
not sure I know the road. It's the first road over here. Canoe. Bridge is up. Like I call it. You have to go past that. Then we cross the bridge.
Gotta ask Alverson if anybody reading that meter.
Yeah.
Over there, I know. So
Like, you know, see it.
so I feel like that,
So that's okay.
Or something like that.
Serious.
You're done with that process, so.
It's not yet done.
Today.
Courthouse versus civil.
Well, it's- I know. And I was running.
All the way down.
The trees are so big that we can't.
It's about similar.
Well, that's what she does. Okay, yeah.
It's really.
Well, it's 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. The meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you may leave. First item on the agenda this morning, Tim Smock, County Treasurer. Approval of hiring a new clerk and the introduction.
It's my Winneshiek County Treasurer. Just want to introduce, Eric Sovereign. I request approval for Eric. And you hired as a clerk, hired at pay grade 10 during his probationary period with increase to pay grade 12 at a later date with a positive performance review.
What, does that fit with our matrix, Tim?
It does. That's exactly what was in the matrix. That's
I just need to know how many people now work in your office.
currently 5, myself plus 4, and then this would be addition of. This would be, take us back to exactly the staffing level of what we were at prior to the retirement of the previous treasurer.
And they were also down in position from, because they didn't replace.
So for busy as this courthouse is, I was just in it to pay my taxes on a Thursday, well, the last Thursday of March. And guess what? There was one person here needing help. And then there was one person I had to wait about 30 seconds. And then I walked in. And there was a person sitting at a desk, and 2 people standing here. So is it that busy that you need 6 people? I mean, I'd like to know how many people do you talk to in a day? I mean, does anybody keep track of that, Tim?
I do. I actually presented that full report to the board, actually.
I haven't been here for probably 3-4 years, so I wouldn't know.
Yep. And we actually currently have the lowest, even with the higher, we would still have the highest population to staff ratio of any treasurer's office in Iowa around our size. I did a full workup on our justification for that, so.
How many other counties are still doing appointments in our region up here?
I believe the only one I know that is not doing my appointment would be Fayette.
Don't believe Howard does.
Howard definitely does. I talked to Christie about it. She's still doing it. Tell me he is.
She has more extended hours. She has 8 to 4:30. I believe that's,
I'm
I believe
not
that's
sure.
right.
I did.
Some of there's, as I've looked at some of the different offices around the state, some are 7:30 to 4:30, some are 8 to 4:30, some are 8 to 4, some have different lunch hours, and so forth. So their hours are different. I think if I recall from our 6th county meeting, one of the county was at 35 hours. The rest were at either 37 and a half or 40 hours of the 6 counties. So there's 4 that were different. So I'd like to see you give us some statistics on that, because I don't know what I get for complaints, as you and I have talked previously, is that it's difficult and we're not meeting the same customer service that we could. And it seems like the appointments are a holdover from COVID.
I think they work really well personally because people are able to be prepared when they walk in. Now, granted, when appointments, we take them. If somebody walks in the office, I bet at least 2 out of 3, we're able to just serve in the office right then versus booking them for an appointment. Now, you know, you got
So-
people line out the door and stuff, and somebody walks in and they're looking to get a driver's license, and you already got 2 people at the driver's license station, and you got people booked up afterwards. It's easy for us to just book them and when it's convenient for them to come back, you know, versus having them wait and continue to wait. And it may continue, because once the appointments are stacked up and they're continuing to come in, you gotta serve them.
It might seem better to the public if it was, you put it appointments optional for your convenience or something, put that on our website. It might seem a little more friendly than,
I'm open to talking about it. You know, my only hold up on that is that then once it starts opening up, but I mean, we get a lot of people from other counties that you would then be causing. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm
You do
not, I really
charge
am
it.
not.
we do charge the convenience fee that the state has allowed for out of county.
I do not.
We do not, but yet it's allowed. There's the $10 convenience fee for using another county that was established by the state is in our code. Is that correct?
It's optional.
It's optional, but it's available to us
Yes.
so that we don't have, we can provide the service for our own taxpayers within Winneshiek County. But if they want to come from wherever else in the state, we charge them a $10 convenience fee. That's my
That is an
suggestion.
option, yes.
Let's get back to the agenda item here. So anyone like to take action?
I'd like to motion to approve the hiring. Rick Stauber.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the hiring of Eric Sovereign. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Welcome
Congratulations.
to the county.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here's Pete. Come on, you can keep.
Right, great, thanks.
What do we all have on the consent agenda, Ben? Minutes, claims?
Yeah, we've got the minutes, the claims. And let's see, that zoning thing has its own agenda time. So yeah, just the minutes and the claims.
Excuse me.
Motion to approve the,
Fairly. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I would second.
Okay, and a second. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimous.
It's fine. This is engineer stuff, sorry.
Okay.
And one question on the payables. Later on.
Request.
Well, that's what that
Oh,
was.
oh, then we did that room. We're going to put the cage in the back. The security cage, yeah, so that's.
For the files.
Yeah.
Yep, so that makes, that's on the cage in the back, yeah. They're there.
Do we have any quick committee reports?
It's public health, but I'll bring that up later. At the judicial district. Kind of like the, everything else, consolidations going on. Our district is doing great as far as outcomes and success. But struggling with the state as far as there's only a certain number of bed spaces they allow, and most of them are being kept for part of the state. So, but anyway, it was a pretty positive meeting anyway, as far as financial situation, and they were like outstanding. A lot of providers weren't paying us and reimbursing us for last year, so catching up on that.
I had workforce development board. The meeting was primarily about, they have not had, that board has not been audited. And so they were giving a contract for auditing, which I'm really glad to see, because we have all of the county board supervisors have a liability in that 2080 agreement that we face. So because of it, you know, there was a little sticker shock by a lot of the folks on the cost of an audit. But they desperately, that's really good transparency of things that should happen, so that it's out there and everything we know is on the up and up. That's a big organization. It covers a lot of stuff. But I think about 18 counties.
What is the cost of an audit?
That audit is about a $19,000 cost for the workforce development board on a five-year contract with an escalation. But it's auditing seems to become more and more of an issue of finding qualified people to do so. We're very fortunate, I think, with having Dr. Nelson doing our audits here in Winneshiek County. And we've had very good results in our audits and good results in working with them. I'm sorry.
They charge.
That's a Ben Stein's question.
Our audit
Can you
is about
speak up louder,
twice.
Ben?
Our audit is about twice what you quoted there. It's about 36,000.
Part of the issue for the price of that audit for Workforce Development Board, which is a state board, is the fact that it's never been audited. Hacker Nelson, we have the benefit of, they've been doing how many years did you say, Ben, they've been doing our audit?
At least 20.
So
Maybe
have-
longer. I don't know back further.
yeah, they've got a full understanding of all of the parts and pieces of the county. Whereas somebody coming in new, it's not really surprising. I think they had originally estimated in their budget 15,000 for this audit, but it turned out to be 19.
Is that for 1 year or?
That's for 1 year.
Our audit,
That's the cost of doing business.
our audit tends to cost a little more because in a year where we utilize more than 750,000 of federal funds, we have to file extra forms with the federal government. So that's a separate filing that includes more fees.
Next item on the agenda, Michael Kueny, our county engineer. We've got a few different things.
Yeah, have a board of our DOT approved budget and 5-year program. Nothing really changed since February, so should be all but old news.
Could we get the map with the 5-year program marked on it for over here?
5 year, yes.
Because then when you guys are here, you can see where in the county the projects are. Granted, it can change.
It's, yeah, it's a subject, highly subject to change.
Yeah.
One flood can take care
Or just, it's like the Pleasant View Bridge that we closed, it's like
Right.
2 years ago, it was on the radar for programming. It was deteriorating fast. All right, I'm gonna go through like top 3 line items are pretty much the same as last week, so. Winneshiek is county the finalist for the build grant. That's W14 South of Fort Atkinson was a submitted project. Service Bureau is submitted to federal government on January 29th of this year. Railroad flat car bridge study coordination is occurring this week with Iowa State and working with Chuck Britton, we discovered the need to have bridge to box inspections done on 5-year increments. Agreement will be forthcoming on that. Targeting for the summer of 2025 for completion. Subdivision data has been gathered. They actually intend to spend some time on it this week. Cost study will be forthcoming on what it is we're going to be doing on that. So looking, maintenance schedules has been pretty much figured out. So maintenance activities are being coordinated. 6,500 tons per blade district will be applied this year, plus some high volume roads are being rocked. High volume roads include Conover Road, Town Line Road, River Road, Meadow Arc Road, A14, and only specific sections on all of the roads apply. Additionally, we're doing the base stabilization on Town Line Road east of Highway 52, and then you're doing Whitetail Road as well this year.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You just said.
The base stabilization, it's something that holds the gravel roads. It works with the fines.
It's a chemical.
It's a enzyme that holds together all of the fines to make things hard, closer to concrete. It finishes after it's been applied. It does something, I guess, real stiff, silly putty, and then it gets hard, and then it just is supposed to wear for up to 10 years or more.
Is it new? Is it a new thing or not? Have you done it?
We've tried a version of one of this before. We tried it in conditions that were wet. So I'm trying to make sure that we do it in the driest part of the year as possible, July or August. And then if we can't find the right conditions, I don't intend to apply it type of thing. So I want to make sure 100% that we apply it in the right situation so that it is a success.
It's supposed to try and get rid of washboarding.
Well, yes, it does do that. My concern is the application of rock every year is getting more and more expensive, and I'm trying to, on a year-over-year basis, make the maintenance of the gravel roads cheaper. So that's the ultimate goal on this. A tertiary benefit to this is that it does provide some form of dust control. Are you able to apply dust control on top of this as well? I'm not sure the answer to that question. That's something I need to touch base with on, but I think before we start putting dust control on, I would like to see how much dust is created just from the product itself.
Michael, how many of the applications of that type of product did you go see in that meeting that was held down in Independence?
I didn't go to the second because I was driving the other engineers, but I've gone to Clinton County and seen 3 applications of it just installed and the final product. I intend to go to Clayton County, the Permazyme. Clayton County has a couple of projects that are about 5 years old. So this is a trial. This isn't I don't intend to scale this up any more than a trial version until we see some success, and then kind of look at some of the other counties, the Clinton County and the Clinton County contacts here over time.
Yeah, I went down to that presentation and saw all of those different ones that they had put on, all the different products. And the one that I think that you're referring to is, I think the first one we saw, and the comment of the engineer was they hadn't bladed that section in 5 years where it was a big, bad washboarding area prior, and it was pretty
Big
impressive.
savings.
It was, and the dust control, look, I don't think there'd been any, we looked at all these different ones as we toured it after the fact. And I don't think there was one of them where there was any significant dust and it was dry. So it was, I was impressed with what was, the
It's-
results were.
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna be that successful, because I've heard a little bit more mixed results from other Iowa engineers, and I've talked to a couple people in Michigan because the vendors, but they are all positive, but they're not quite as positive as what you're saying.
It's glowing.
Yeah, they're not quite as glowing as a good word to say.
Yeah, that, but that washboard and the issue in that one.
That is, the washboard is almost done issue. You don't worry about it at that point. But
So how long do you have to wait before they washboard it up? Can you put the product down? You have to close the road for a day or two for it to get hard enough to withstand it?
no, you put it on, and then within the couple hours, you're back up and operational. So it's just, so you chew up the road with a reclaimer, about an 8-foot path, and you go, it's 3 paths along the road, because it's 8 foot wide. You chew up the rock that's in there, it's the top 2 inches, relay it, it's got the chemical that's in the water and everything that's been placed in it, relayed.
The binder.
The enzyme in there, and then you set it down and you pack it in, and then it works to suck those fines together as hard as they possibly can be sucked together, and that should hold the rock and
Like
the whole
on our
road
road.
piece together.
When Bullerman comes in Gradestown Line Road, within an hour after he leaves, they've already, the people, it's not his fault, the people tear it all the heck within hours after he grades it by spinning their tires, trying to stop at an intersection. So then the road is already destroyed before you got ready to go for the summer.
And that was one of the reasons why I went down to Clinton County on the application to see how the first 24 hours, I think I was there. I don't know, it was beyond 24 hours, but it's like a real hard silly putty, so it's not gonna, it doesn't you don't skip your small fines up in the air and start that washerboard formation right away. I mean, I can't promise that, because it's
hard.
first time, as we're trying this out.
Not concrete.
But even in the early stages, it has a different feel to the road than as if it were freshly bladed. Freshly bladed has that loose kind of feel to the top of it, and it doesn't have that. So
this is a special machine you gotta bring into the county to lay this down for the 2 inches?
we'll be hiring that reclaimer machine. We've got a loose agreement with JD Holland on that.
Okay, I talked to, are you gonna do the whole road then, from Highway 52 to, Middle County?
No, correct.
South Pole Road.
That whole piece. So,
Wow. That's not off of Middle County.
Day for you.
Fighting that for so long.
Hopefully it works.
yeah, again, we'll see if it works. So, but it's an effort on our part to try and address the.
People that spend all the money on dust control, I mean, I'm sure they'd even chip in to help you pay for that if you do it, because they've been paying good money
Yeah,
every
yeah,
year. to
yeah.
do that.
I need to talk,
Donations accepted.
Well, a coffee can.
Be more than happy.
I'll talk to Ben and see what it takes to get GoFundMe on it.
I'm sure you can get some help.
So. Yeah, that's the maintenance. That was part 4 here. So Bridge 126. Same as last week. A couple more emails out this week. Road embargoes are finished. I stopped them. The sign should be pulled as of today. Then I passed out the budget and certified 5-year plan. And request that the board approve the 5-year plan and the budget. The only thing that was different on the budget from February was really the starting balance on the auditors, starting balance. Something got pulled over funny, right? Did the last iteration. So
Anyone wants to take action?
I'd move to approve the secondary roads budget. And the 5-year plan at the same time, and the 5-year plan.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve the 5-year and the budget for the secondary road. Is there any further discussion?
Is W38 repair on that budget?
The-
Go up to W.
Are we talking Locust Road?
Karen Schluter comes in and talks to you about every.
No.
2 weeks.
No,
It's not even on budget.
it's on the 5-year plan as a wish list. It's a large project and it's the deterioration is not happening fast enough that.
The road's 55 years old
Mhm.
this year, and it's only got a few bad spots. Why can't we just fix the bad spots? Why can't we get a committee together just to fix? I told you, like 13 sunken culvert spots in the road. Otherwise, the road has been cut every 20 feet. We discussed it. And it's still holding together. It's 55 years old. It's one of the oldest roads in the county.
Mhm.
If you just fix the bad spots, I think the complaints would stop to get down to a minimum shortly.
Yeah, just concrete patching in general is hard to make it smooth. So when you say bad spots, we're talking about smoothness, or we talking about
Seed injectors, you know, when you hit the bump and it goes to the ceiling, just,
yeah,
it was patched about 20 years ago with asphalt. And then,
the north part of it was, yes.
yeah, well, no, the broken concrete spots.
Yep, there's yep.
So they took out one bump and put in 2 new ones every time they did that.
Yeah, patching's hard.
That makes it difficult.
Yeah.
This is, what year is this, 2025?
Mhm.
Can we figure this out?
All
And
right,
there's 6 girls going on a ride to the spaceship this morning, right?
well, this is a discussion for a different day. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have a question. What is the number on the budget, and is this budget for 1 year or for 5 years?
The budget is only given 1 year. But as an approval portion to the DOT, the budget, you have to provide a 5-year plan.
Okay.
That outlines some of the funding that they are expecting to send to the county over the next couple of years. And so they have to approve that as well. So I submitted that in conjunction with our budget. And then Ben has his own budgeting process that he goes through that gets coordinated through me with the DOT.
So what is our amount that we're spending on this budget?
The amount of local funds this year for expenditures for okay, so that's going to be that includes reimbursements. It does have some mixed. This one has some mixed up. So if you want a number that we generally have, it's about 9 million a year. We have about 9 million this year with 2 million in reimbursables coming in
From other sources.
from it's the highway bridge program. So that's the number you kind of probably want is the 9 million in local funds.
Motion passed unanimous.
Michael, can you get signed that Dan signs a copy and leave it on my desk, and because I have to sign it also.
Yeah, if Dan signs that, I can take it up to your desk, Ben.
Thank you.
Yep. I have copies you can keep.
There's 2 copies in here also. Go on.
Okay, so that's the big portion. We have 3 positions will be available within the secondary roads. We have received many new applications. The scoop applications are due April 17th. That's the operator 2 position. All department FEMA app training and safety meeting was held at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. to noon respectively at the maintenance shop on Wednesday, April 9th. This fulfills crew requirements for safety education. And then we're rolling out a new app to make the FEMA process streamlined. Lots of effort has gone into that by our crew and by our GIS staff. The SS4A grant meeting was held on Monday, March 24th in the courthouse jury room. The Iowa County Engineers Association paid for a consultant to review data and present material on where the county's most hazardous spots are. The engineer will submit to the board the findings upon receiving the finished safety action plan. The only thing that's different in this note from last week is I named what the document was, and this safety action plan is what they'll be submitting, just FYI. Jeff Peel's situation is being administered. I think we are pretty close to finality on that. Mr. Peel's lawyer will finalize a contract before the house is sold. Been working with the future owner of that property and putting in what he wants. So basically it's back to where it was before all of this stuff ever happened. This is the short answer.
Some shrubbery.
Yeah, I think, did Mr. Peel take out the shrubs? Okay.
Overgrown.
Yeah.
Which is
fine, yeah. Nesty Valley construction to start this week. Controlled burning of the disturbed areas will be coordinated with conservation. Striping bids due Monday next week for the county. We're looking at doing all the center stripes. We skipped a year last year, and then so we're just going to do everything this year. And then we're going to do a quarter of the county on the fog lines. And then after my meeting with Camline about 3 weeks ago, was it? I might be trying to do something a little more strategic with the fog lines as an optimization process for paint. So that'll be a discussion in the future. So
I think that'd be widely supported.
yeah, I cut paint trying to get everything else paid for, but you can't, that's not something you want to just, it's not something I want to keep doing, for sure.
And they'll be back on W14 on the north section.
That'll be part of the contract this year.
That wasn't part of the contract on the original road construction.
It was, but there was a change order where they changed the width of they had the striping equipment for the 6-inch lines instead of the 4-inch lines like we requested. And that was a certain amount of paint, and that was what they could get done at the time. So we just agreed to just put the wider paint, which is a nice benefit, but not put the fog lines on. So we will have to pay for the fog lines on W14 on that. It's just, that was what was the equipment that was available to get it done at the time. So I made the decision to get paint on the center line painted for the winter. So, and then FEMA, same as last week, haven't heard anything yet. I'm really hoping to get some of those funds before fiscal year 2026 starts. So that's all I have for the engineer's report. Anybody have anything else for me?
On that meeting with emergency management on the flood
Yep.
issues and all of that weather reporting, you think that was really beneficial of how that may fit with the FEMA stuff and so forth that you've gone over with the road crews?
I don't think there's going to be much on the road crews that'll be passed. Operationally speaking, I think what it does help me is when just having that conversation with with Sean when he says that river is so high. What does that mean for me? Well, that's all documented now. So that's beneficial on my part. It's something that I have some context that I can talk to, the superintendent, and we can make some plans there. But I mean, that's a lot of just the context. And the biggest thing that I would take out of that is maybe I can work and get a grant application or two. There's some data I can pull out of that, but as far as my operations, that's an emergency management thing, not an engineer's. Nothing actionable for me on that meeting.
What I'm talking about is a meeting that Sean Snyder with Emergency Management put on, talking about different flood stages for both the Turkey and the upper Iowa, and when certain things needed to happen and be mobilized. So it was pretty heavy with the weather data from the National Weather and the Iowa Flood Group. And so it was pretty complex, but it was.
Well, I enjoyed the complexity of it, but I just,
Wow.
the actionable things that I can do off of it, I just,
Kind of limited.
yeah, that's an emergency management focused, and then it's good that, so that he and I can talk. Apples
So
to
you have a
apples.
list of problem spots and when the river gets to this water level.
Well, and that honestly, that our crew knows that better than,
Yeah.
so that's one of those things where if you've been doing the job for long enough, you can't just take experience and use your experience. So that's, I mean, for instance, Troy when stuff was happening last summer, he was going to all the hot spots at midnight last year, and then this is what's going on, and yeah, I mean, I knew what was happening at those bridges from a phone call before I sat down Monday morning. So,
Was taken.
yeah, so it's nice to have, but we have other ways of getting
Yeah.
some of the things that we need. So,
It was pretty ethereal, but there is, I was thinking of Bear Creek water, some of the issues we had with that heavy rain and wind up there, how that may impact us if we had some advanced warning from La Crosse over the national weather.
yeah, one of the, just to
We
get,
hope we have the national weather
Right, but
going into the future.
one of the interesting things is that when I was in school, we didn't have, that I knew about at the time, is it didn't model for the water in the groundwater, how high the groundwater levels are. And so that was interesting that they started modeling the groundwater levels, and putting that into their model, and having that affect the floodwater heights. So,
and there's some new technology that's available that Sean is trying to see if we could find some grant money or something to implement, because it would pick up the groundwater water levels and what's coming in on both of those two major streams and give us an advance warning.
that was for Spillville, yeah.
That was for Spillville. We have one, I think, on that they have installed, the state's installed on the upper Iowa,
Yes, I think is it here in Decorah is what they said?
or might be over a little more towards the headwater, over towards
Okay.
near Howard.
They were talking about Decorah at one time, and it was a little bit, they were talking amongst
I
themselves.
think that's a river level monitoring station that they have.
Okay. So, yeah, I went to it. The actionable stuff is minimal, but it's, again, it's a worthwhile meeting. So, because I got some context information, how Sean thinks of things and things like that. So it was beneficial that way.
Does anyone have anything else for Mike?
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, a couple miscellaneous items, first of which is a set of public hearing on zoning ordinance amendments. What date were you looking at, Ben?
We're looking at April 28th at 10 a.m.
This is a resolution.
Yep.
Motion to set the public hearing on zoning ordinances for April 28th at 10 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, set public hearing for zoning ordinance amendments for April 28th at 10 a.m. It's a resolution. Mark,
Aye.
Shirley,
I,
Mark,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
I also passes unanimous.
and paperwork for that prior to the public hearing is available in the planning and zoning office, zoning administrator's office.
Well, is Tony prepared the changes for us to be able to review in a document, Ben?
I have not seen them. I don't know what this pertains to. He just brought me the resolution to schedule the public hearing. So you need to talk to Tony on those other details.
Next up, discussion and possible action on changes to FY26 Public Health budget.
That would be, I had that put on, we had a public health meeting Wednesday afternoon there, and, I've just come up with the information I've gotten from them. My recommendation for the budget would be just give them a flat 350,000 a year, and they get to keep all their income, their grant money, their nursing fees, and they get to do that way we ain't cutting them any. They can figure out what it costs to run the nurses, and they can hire more if they want. Within that budget, then they can figure it out. So my recommendation is, by the figures they gave me here, 141 per person per month. Times 12 is 1648 times population is 332,325.72. And I just rounded it up to 350,000 to give them. So that's where I come up with it. That's the information I got from the public health right here.
Is
I
this
didn't
a-
come up with them figures.
Is this what the board all approved at your meeting?
I didn't bring it. I'm just bringing it up to our board.
Okay,
Did we ever meet with the three providers we talked about?
no, we
No,
haven't.
we're way
No,
ahead of that.
That's way down the road.
So,
But I'm just proposing for this year's budget.
we've already,
And
go ahead.
what we can do is leave the budget where it is now. Allocate that in June.
So, I had the meeting, we were supposed to be the Board of Health sitting there, and Krista, one of the nurses, sat there and telling me what we can and can't do. And she was cutting down Clayton and Fayette County, the things they didn't do, nothing about, we go to a 6-county meeting, we work as 6 counties to make it better for the 6 counties. And I sat there and listened to her degrade them 2 counties for what they weren't doing.
This is about the budget, Mark.
But I know, this is the budget, and that's where it's going. But that's why I come up with the budget. That way, we ain't cutting them nothing. This is the figures I got what they gave me. I'm just using
See, if
them
we run with
figures.
those budget numbers we have now, then Ben doesn't have to go ahead and
Right.
change any of the budget. Because that would lower the tax levy rate, which in turn we won't get back. So if we just allocate that in June, if the board such desires. I think that's, after talking with Ben, we just kind of decided that's probably the easier way to clean that up, if that's what's gonna happen.
I don't want to lose the levying ability.
No,
No, we wouldn't have to. We can just put that into the infrastructure fund. We don't have to lose money.
No, I'm just saying.
no,
leave the
if
budget the way
we
it is.
change the budget and lowered it to this amount for the time.
So I'd say leave it.
That way he has to rework the budget. This way.
I don't want it, the reworking the budget to hold it up. I just think that you have other tools, like in the current year, you just didn't appropriate all the funds. So if you leave the budget the same, you can choose to not appropriate all the funds at the end of June. That was what Dan was saying. And it effectively has the same result, but it gives you the authority to, I guess, raise it again later if you think you need to.
No, but if you just allot them a flat amount, it gives them the ability to use their funds inside that. So if they make more money, they decide they want to do more, they can make more, it stays in their pool. Because this way, whatever they make comes out here, comes to the county, they can't use it within
Yeah.
the budget.
There is not a
That's the point
way,
I would bring up.
there's not a way for them to have, yeah, like the road department to have their own separate fund. Everything they do is still goes through the general fund.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could say you're going to only budget the money as, or appropriate money as the revenue comes in, so you could kind of regulate that some based on how much revenue they're getting. So you have options. It just isn't quite as clean as write them a check for 350, or like emergency management where you just give them an amount and then they do it. You still have to pass everything through the general fund.
But we're still, this is what we did when we just did it. We funded to a certain point last year, Ben.
Yep, that's
Or
right.
this current year.
So I think there's two options here. Mark is suggesting that you actually lower the budget amount, and the way you would accomplish that is some form of the lines. We'd have to cut some of them to get it down so that the expenses are only 350,000 more than the projected revenues. It still doesn't limit them until because the revenues are only guesses too. So we're going to have to pass it through and monitor that as the year goes on. The other option is to do like Dan was mentioning, where we leave the budget the way it is, but we just appropriate a portion in the beginning of the next fiscal year, and then we can appropriate more as the year goes if they have corresponding revenue.
Which that makes sense if we are able to also find a good contract that benefits, if we are able to work with one of the other healthcare providers, if it benefits us.
Because that might be part way through the FY26 year before we get that figured out.
I mean, I think leaving ourselves the most options as we go into further exploration of options we have.
So the dollar amount that we would allocate is a number we'd have to discuss. June, right, Ben?
Yep, end of June is usually the annual appropriation resolution. And for the current year, you allocated them half of the expenses that they budgeted, and we're still operating within that now. We will have to amend that budget during the budget amendment to lower it, since you haven't appropriated all of the budgeted figures. So, we're either change the budget ahead of time, like Mark suggests, or you appropriate as the year goes and then change the budget at the end of the year when you actually see how the numbers come in. Either way, it'll get done eventually.
Okay. Well, there's nothing else on that. Community services building.
We're gonna move Tuesday, Wednesday will be, so Wednesday's operation should be in the building.
Open for business.
I got a couple more cubicle walls gotta get done. Me and John will be doing that, and then we'll be ready to move. Tuesday, Wednesday will be the. Pretty much.
We got to get in there and get that building cleaned up so we can get an open house time, the other building.
Yeah, will we do that ourselves, or do we hire somebody to go and do a professional?
We better go tour it and see what we have.
I mean, it's probably worth spending money to have it professionally cleaned, if that's.
Oh, I think that's valid. And I think there's some neglected areas perhaps ought to be dealt with.
Outside.
We have hired outside cleaning agencies for special projects like that. So once you have all of the desks and cabinets and stuff out of there that were either stored or disposed of, all the old stuff, we could hire like Service Master or a cleaning agency like that to come in and just do a full cleaning for better presentation.
Now, there may be a sizable amount of stuff that needs to go to the landfill.
Or recycle.
Most of it's metal, majority of it's gonna be metal.
We could probably arrange for recycling to put one of our new bins out there. and get that. All we have to do is get some labor.
Won't take long to fill
Oof.
Cubicle walls, I wouldn't mind keeping them a good place, because them things are expensive if you're needed someplace, because there's gonna be a couple 100 feet of them.
You know,
That stuff ain't cheap.
if any of the tenants change down there where we need to put on offices, it would be nice to have the cubicles available.
They're- it's got-
John Halverson has a storage unit. I don't know how full it is, but if you have materials that are worth saving, I would coordinate with him if he has room in his storage unit. And I also know that it's been mentioned that roadside maintenance shed, that there may be some extra room in there. We could store some stuff too, if we have some
That's a
that's worth
cubicle
saving.
wall, biggest item, because
As we found out, they're expensive.
I think John Halverson says that he's got some of those big old tables from the courthouse that are probably almost occupying one storage unit, and we can't find anybody to take them. At this point, don't seem to have any use for it. I'm not sure where. These are the very large table that came out of the courthouse. Are you familiar with them, Ben?
Yes, I am. There's one that was in the, most recently was up in the courtroom in the back. And then there was one was in that room in between the treasurer's office and my office. They're original furniture tables. One side is kind of a desk height and the other side is like a drafting table. They're very large, 8 foot long, 6 feet wide tables. At the time when there was no place to really use them in the county or in the building, the supervisors didn't want to dispose of them since they were original furniture. So we hired David Wadsworth to come and dismantle them in an appropriate manner so that they weren't damaged and could be reassembled in the future if we ever needed to. But they still needed a place to reside, so they've been in the storage unit since then.
Would you want one of those back in your
No.
conference next to the office, Ben?
No, they are very large and not very conducive to the type of business that we do.
I think something like that, if we're not gonna, we could offer them to the public for closed bids.
Hey, Ben, do you know all the desks and all the cubicles up there in the DHS building? They are county property.
Well, they were funded through partially state funded and partially the other 4 counties that are in our group. But I would think that if they're leaving them because they aren't of any use to them, that we might as well claim them rather than throw them away if it's
Yeah,
something
that's
worth
what I mean. I
worth
didn't want to
saving.
get
Yeah.
into it. They were the state.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
make sure with the DHS folks, if they like everything they're leaving, if they say they don't want it, then I
Yeah,
think
Yep.
we say what we want.
And
that's,
We were talking about possibly tagging the stuff in the
Yeah.
community service building that is Winneshiek County's. So down the road, if there's ever any questions, it's definitely ours.
buy those metal tags. for them. I think also if 4 counties did potentially buy that together before we send it away, we should offer furniture to them if they have use for it.
yeah, I mean, I'm for that.
Yeah.
They come and
Take
get it.
pictures
once
of
they
it,
get out,
they
ain't
first come, first serve.
Yeah, yeah, if they need, there's cabinets and desks and cubicle wall, there's just up.
I think they've cleaned up enough. Maybe those could be stored over there at this community service building. I think some of that storage area, a lot of that's been cleaned out.
In the back,
Yeah.
nah, there ain't much,
Not back there.
we don't want to clutter it back up.
No, I don't disagree with that.
But there was like, a lot of those boxes are empty in one cage area, they're just empty boxes.
That's in that cage, that's none of our, that's DHS's.
No, that was
That
Spectrum.
was spectrum.
Spectrums.
I mean, Spectrums, yeah, that's their, we can't go in, there. That's locked. That's their cubicle.
But I mean, there's a bunch of what's in that space mark is what we're saying is
Yeah.
empty boxes.
But that's their,
They should be cleaning that.
It would be, there is a file storage room that their previous manager was using as an office, but it was built as a file storage room. And it would be nice to encourage them to store those in that file storage room rather than occupy all of that storage space.
To negotiate some of that space back.
When PJ was interested in buying that shelving rack that sits on the shelves there, that. So we'll just gotta figure out what. That and 2 tables, figure out what. the charge length. Just so we know what he's gonna take. There's 2 racks of them.
The
We're
more.
gonna fit in there.
They're
No,
disassembled
no,
in there.
the gray, there's.
Not
not
heavy
orange
duty.
ones, There's gray ones that are a little lighter duty.
Oh,
So you can use it since everything burnt out there, you can use shelving for storm filters and stuff on, so. Just gotta come up with like that this morning.
Okay.
Come up with a price, that way we get clearing up some space in there.
anyone have anything else?
For the public, Steve was mentioning the electric bill, we put solar at the recycling center and dropped over $1,000 a month off our electric bill, so. I think it's about
I
that.
hope that that's gonna be
I hope that's what's gonna happen.
forward
Same
thinking
thing,
going
actually.
forward,
Yeah.
but it was.
But it definitely has cut the amount of our electric bill down, so.
Did a claims page get passed around and signed?
Yeah, there's one signed and then,
Okay.
is that supposed to go?
I'm gonna bring that back up to Tony, yeah. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. For adjournment, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Get the 5-year plan. Updated.
Don't blow away out there. Don't blow away out there.
I got one, I thought they were all the same. I thought it was just a bunch of them, which one was the plan. But, oh, take the butt.
You got to take a while. You got to don't blow away.
Get on all our.
I meet John down here.
We're getting that 45.
Yeah. It would be nice.
That's right.
So this.
I don't want to put it in the showing only if we either need to know. There.
Yeah, and I don't think it's got, we wonder if it fixed the problem, but it hasn't got.
That's probably.
There's no smell.
What's that guy's name? Let's see what we got. I can never remember his name. Is it John?
I want.
I think John or down.
Okay, well, just hang down here.
He's been happy about
Court. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, 15.
I need to.
We'll be out there for a while. Yeah,
Please, I need to.
yeah, no, we'll be out there for a half hour. They've been here pretty quick.
You see that? Maybe we should- oh. You're, sometimes we win and sometimes.
Yeah, we'll be out there. We'll be out there for
All
a
right,
half hour.
all right, you'll be out there in about a half hour.
Well, we'll be out there within the half hour. We'll probably go to the top.
Okay. I'm sorry, summertime? Oh, yeah, we didn't want to do that.
It's
an issue that needs to be covered.
Oh,
Yeah. How the.
But it's okay. It's not, that's not unusual. But you can answer. Yeah, sure, but we should. That was my experience at work. That was my experience at work, depending on the subject.
How many votes are there?
Shows, and that was embarrassing. It was not a professional. No. But here we go. You know what I mean? Here we go. I mean, I tried to become, but it's just. I'm crazy. No, stop. But it was. No, I know you don't. I know. But this one be. I don't think you open any papers. That's a different service. Yeah. Have a good weekend or week, you guys. Good luck with the rest. See ya. There are now 2 supervisors in the room, Fatima. Thank you.